Hi friends! Today when we get started, what we're going to do is we are going to do a scene or a setting. So lots of artists take inspiration from other things. I take a lot of inspiration from books. So this was my inspiration, is this book, Dusty Locks and the Three Bears. And so I thought we'd create this setting, and we're then going to put our favorite fairy tale characters walking along the path. So there's a couple steps to this, and I'll try and do each one, and just know that you might have to wait some time to let it dry. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the meadow. And the reason we're starting with the meadow is when you do watercolors, you're always going to start with the lightest color first. So I'm going to get a little bit of water. If you have a choice of brushes, I'm going to use a bigger brush. And we're going to start with a little bit of yellow, okay? And the yellow is just kind of in an open field. And if you make it kind of zigzaggy, then it'll show different textures in the field. And if you feel like it's a little too dark, you can add a little bit of water. You'll notice as I do the water, I kind of tap it a little bit to get some of the water off. We're going to make the field. Now, I'm just using Prang watercolors. These are nothing fancy. These are still the same watercolors that my son used when he was in elementary school. He's now in high school. So, I add a little bit of yellow. It's kind of just a giant blob, and that's okay. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of green, okay? So sometimes you can use, you'll notice this is a little bit dirty, so I'm gonna wipe it up with my brush, and I'm gonna take my rag and I'm gonna clean it. So I always thought that the lid was just to keep your paints and waters from overflowing. And then I realized we can mix colors with it. So I got a little bit of water and I brush some off. And I'm gonna take a little bit of yellow and I'm gonna put it here. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of green and I'm gonna add it here. It's gonna make it a lighter green. And I'm gonna do the same thing. Just gonna kind of go zigzaggy like this. These are my fields and maybe some green over here. Now, because it's wet, it's gonna blend a little bit between the colors. You can also add a little bit of water, okay? You can kind of push it, maybe add a little more green out here. And if you wanna make it darker, go ahead and add a little bit of darker green there. Maybe you wanna tap some darker green in here. You can just tap it. Remember, this is a field. Add some green, make it maybe look like a hill over here. And then I kind of want to fill this space over here. So I'm going to clean my brush because I'm going to add some more yellow. So I'm just going to add a little more yellow over here. Okay, so that's the first part, is we've made our meadow. Now what we're going to do is we're going to paint the hills behind. Now when it comes to painting the hills behind, they're purple, but I want to get a good idea of purple. So I'm going to look at these, and these are color swatches that I did. These are all using the Prang watercolor set. Now I'm going to look for purple. Ooh, I like red and blue. That's kind of cool. Here's brown and purple. That's interesting. Let's see if we have any purple. Here's just plain purple. Oh, here's purple and blue. I kind of like purple and blue. I might combine purple and blue and just plain purple. So I'm going to put these off to the side, and then I'm going to dip my brush, and I'm just going to do purple, and I'm going to do some mountains. Just up and down like this. And I'm going to do them like rainbows because I think it's going to create this sort of look like a mountain. And maybe I'll do another one here. Maybe it goes like that. And then I'm going to zigzag it together. Get a little more purple. I'm going to do my rainbow. I'm going to let this sit for a few minutes. I'm going to rinse my brush. And now I'm going to do purple and blue. And I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to take purple and I'm going to mix it here. I usually go 1, 2, 3, and then I put it in my tray. And then I'm going to go into my blue and go 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna mix it together and I'm going to look. That looks really blue. I might have to add a little more purple and a little more purple. And if you're not sure, take a piece of paper as a little test. Kind of like it, maybe a smidge more purple. Now I'm just gonna add a little bit of purple here. It's gonna come down. Maybe you want to add some purple shadows here. Can maybe add some purple in here. Kind of blend it. And if you think, oh, I kind of just want to blend the colors, then dip your brush in, wipe it off. Just has a little bit of water and you can kind of blend the colors together and make them a little bit softer. Oops. And if you make a mistake, that's okay. It's just for fun. And we can do this to practice. You can add a little bit of water. Maybe blend over here. Okay, there's my mountains. If you want to add some more texture, you can. But now I'm going to let it dry because now I need to move on to brown for my path. I'm going to get my swatches again and I'm going to look for a color brown that I really like. There's purple and orange, P and O. Here's red and green, I kind of like that. And there's brown, regular brown. Here's orange and purple. I might go with red and green. So you can go with orange and purple or red and green, doesn't matter. I might add just some orange to my pile already. So I'm gonna add some orange to purple and see, it makes a little brown color. Now I'm gonna make my path. We might need a little more brown, that's kind of blackish. That's okay. And I'm just gonna go zigzagging, tapping, because it's a dirt path. And if you need a little more brown or a little more water, you can get a little more brown and a little more water. Now at any time, you can always hit pause. Okay, you can go back and mix your colors. Remember, this is orange and purple to make this brown. Maybe a little more orange. And if I change the color, that's okay because I'm just gonna kind of tap it in because dirt never looks like one color. It's always kind of a blend of different shades. Okay, so here's my path. And I'm just tapping it through. Okay. And maybe I'll just make my path and fill it in. And that's okay. If you don't want to fill it in with all brown, let me show you a trick. You can go and dip this, get some water on your rag, and then just tap it up. Now brown is going to be a little bit harder to get rid of, but it kind of makes this reddish color. So it didn't come up great, so you know what? I'm just going to go with it, and that's okay. I was thinking maybe I wanted to do like a little patch of yellow, but that's okay. Sometimes you just go in and go with it. All right, so there we go. There's our brown. Okay, now you need to let this dry, okay? Sometimes it takes a few minutes, sometimes it's still a little wet, but we want to let it dry. In the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and go, but I would recommend that you wait. Now, I'm going to make some trees. So I'm looking at my color swatches, and I think I'm going to do trees that are like blue and orange and blue and green. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I can clean out my tray. This is just an old t-shirt, but I'm sure you have single socks lying around or some old sheets. Okay, paper towels work great too. So I'm going to take some blue and I'm going to mix it in, and you'll notice I'm using a smaller brush. And I made a little mistake there. I should have done orange first, but I'm just going to clean my brush, come back, and add some orange. okay? And it's gonna make this cool green color. Now I'm using a small little brush, and you can use yours. Now, we're gonna make some trees, okay? And the trees are just gonna be up here on the hill. And I'm just gonna make swish, swish, swish. I make like a spike at the top, swish, swish, swish. Spike at the top, and you just kind of go swish, swish, swish. Now remember, you can make them super tiny because the smaller they are, the farther they are away. And they don't actually have to look like trees. They just have to give the impression of trees. Okay? You can plant them in a row. You can plant them kind of one over here. Oh, I might have to go darker with that green because you can't really see it on the purple. And you can mix up your greens. Maybe you want to do a solid green right here. Or right here. Now, as I go down in this, I'm going to create some more greens up here, my trees. And if you want to add, the other colors that we chose for our trees was blue and orange. Take some of my blue, take some of my orange, and you can also do blue and green. Do another pile of blue and a little bit of green. So they're all going to give you slightly different colors for your trees. Because remember, trees come in all sorts of shapes and colors. I'm trying to make these look like rectangles. Not rectangles. Triangles. We've been studying rectangles. So you can make triangles and then kind of just swish the edges. Okay? And you can keep adding more details in the back. Now, as you get closer down into the meadow, your trees are going to be getting bigger. So maybe they come like this. Need a little more green. And you're going to go out like this. Usually get wider. Maybe I'm going to make one that looks like this. Well, it's going to have to be darker. I have a little white spot. That's okay. They just have to give, remember, trees, you can always see through trees. These bigger trees are going to be even closer. And maybe you have a really big one right here. You can go back and fill it in, and you can even fill it in with different colors. Like that. Maybe a different color green. Okay? So you can add those details. Now, the next piece that we're going to do is the trees. Okay? The big trees that you can't see. So I'm going to add maybe one more of these. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go in after this dries a little bit, and I'm going to add some more trees. See how it was still wet and they kind of spread and globbed over? That's okay. Yours won't look like that because you will have waited. Now, when it comes to trees, okay, I'm going to do, oops, never leave your brush like that. It'll destroy the brush. Put it down. I'm going to get some brown, and I think we did brown was purple and orange, or we can do purple and orange or red and green. I might do orange and purple though. So I'm going to come over here and do some orange, and I'm going to do some purple. I always start with the little color first. Oh, that's kind of a cool color. Now, I'm going to use a flat brush like this. It doesn't have to be big and fat, and if you have a skinny brush, you can also do it. But let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make some giant trees. They start growing in the field. I'm just going to go straight up the mountain. And then I'm going to give it branches. And these trees are so close you can see them right from the path here. And you're going to go straight up. And you can wait till it dries a little bit and then go over it again. Maybe one more right next to the path here. Go straight up. Remember, trees aren't perfect. You could have a whole bunch of branches. You could have a branch coming down. They're trees. Okay? So we've added the trees. Now, some of you might be wondering, what are we going to do in this space? when this all dries, I'm gonna go through, and I might have to add some more purple right here, but for right now, I'm gonna add some more mountains if we needed to. I can add some more meadow. And the most important piece is the sky. Most of the sky is white because it's got clouds. So I'm gonna get a lot of water and I'm gonna get just a tiny little bit of blue. Oh, that seems like still way too much blue. Okay, and I'm just gonna add some blue sky around the clouds, like this. This is just the blue sky around the white puffy clouds. And I'm just gonna tap it. Probably should have done it the other way. But sometimes when you do this project for the third time, you forget the order, and that's okay. Maybe the next time you do it, you could say, oh, I remember I'm gonna add the clouds earlier. So do you see what I mean by waiting until it dries? I'm showing you so that you guys can do this, but you wanna make sure it dries so you don't get this kind of seepy look. I can fix it later, I'm not super worried. Okay, so there's the first part of painting. And then I'll do a second part about what we're gonna do and adding our characters down here. If you wanna go through after it's dry and add a few more details, like a little more green, you can. It's fine, this is your painting. You can go ahead and do it however you like. Try different things. If you don't like it, try it a different way. I hope you liked today's painting project.